The attorney, Shain Manuele, is not involved in the case of Tyler Robinson and is only providing general legal insight. We have been following the case of Tyler Robinson, who's been charged with the capital murder in the death of Charlie Kirk. Joining me now is defense attorney Shain Manuele, explaining the legal process. Thanks for being here.
Glad to be here.
Okay, so first and foremost, let's start with the basics. What does capital murder actually mean under Utah law?
So under Utah law, capital murder is actually defined as aggravated murder. So the statute will read aggravated murder. Okay. The word isn't actually capital murder on it. But capital is just a uniform word that means death penalty on it. So in Utah, aggravated murder is a term for murder plus something additional to qualify it for the death penalty.
And we've seen the pluses added on to him.
Right.
So those are?
So in his case, they're using political incitement and the fact that children were involved.
Yeah.
But the aggravated murder statute lists out a number of things that could aggravate murder to the death penalty or something more. It could include multiple victims. It could include the murdering of a police officer or a murder that occurs while committing another felony. So there's a number of aggravating factors that could be utilized. And so the prosecution has picked their factors and gone forward with the aggravated murder charge.
So in the case of Tyler Robinson, at level of intensity, where would you place each of these aggravated murders?
Yeah, so I don't think the list gives more weight to one or another.
Okay.
If it is there, it qualifies.
Okay.
And so if you have that, then it would qualify for aggravated murder, which allows the prosecutor to then file a notice of intent to seek the death penalty. And so when the prosecutor sees that, and this prosecutor in Utah County indicated that independent of anyone else, he looked at the case and felt it appropriate that the aggravating factors were present, and he did file a notice of intent to seek the death penalty.
And Utah is a very safe place as far as we are concerned as Utahns. People like to move here for that fact. What has this done? I know as a community, people, friends close to each of us as we live here in Southern Utah, we have felt the weight of this. How would you speak on that?
I don't recall a case actually proceeding and successfully executing death, going to the death penalty since 2010. Okay. That doesn't mean these haven't been charged. There have been other cases, if an officer is killed or other aggravating factors, the death penalty is on the table. And those have been charged. And, in recent years, the death penalty has been charged. But something of this magnitude we don't see often. There was a case recently here in St. George where a transgender person killed both their parents. The case of Mia Bailey. And that case is still going. And so we are seeing potentially a shift. But I don't think Utah is a dangerous place. But there is definitely a shift in conduct and crime. And with Mia Bailey, this one is, like you said, still ongoing. So even though it could have a parallel trajectory in a very small sense, we still don't know where that's going, is what you're saying. Right. Cases tend to move very slow through the criminal justice system. The attorneys want to become very familiar with the facts in the case before it proceeds to any hearing. There's also potential initial motions that need to be filed. What does that mean? So initially, there could be motions regarding competency, mental health issues. That was my next question. Do you feel like this attorney would lean into those few factors as well? Well, experts have to be used for that. And so if there's a concern, experts will be consulted and brought in to decide if the individual is competent to stand trial, if there are mental health issues, if there's evidence that can or cannot be presented. And that's going to be for the judge to decide what is going to be presented in this case. Is this person competent? Right. So we'll see those motions filed. And that's standard to see those motions filed, and that slows things down. It'll take time to get those things done, and also time for the attorneys to familiarize themselves with all the facts before that preliminary hearing happens. In a capital case, there's going to be a lot of evidence. We've heard DNA evidence, we've heard fingerprint evidence, marks, shoe marks, a lot of evidence that experts will want to look at and analyze. Paper trail kind of a thing with text messaging is. Yeah, and the prosecutor is going to want to get it right. They want to make sure they have everything they need to prove to the jury that this individual qualifies for the death penalty. So if this goes to trial, let's talk jury. What role will they have? And personally, I wonder, how do you pick a jury for a trial like this? This isn't just, hey, Monica, you got your letter in the mail. Do you want to go? Do you not want to go? You don't know what you're going to go see. Right. And so the public, what they often see is just a letter in the mail to call them to jury duty. Yes. Before that happens, we have conversations with the court where we decide, do we need 40 potential jurors? Do we need 100 potential jurors? That's our pool that we're going to choose from. Okay. And in a capital case, it will be 12 jurors on that case. And some alternates. What we really need to find is someone who just has not developed any preconceived notions, where they haven't decided this person's guilty or this person's not guilty.
Right. And how do you find those kind of people? Like, do you send out more letters than just the average 40 to 60 to 100? Or is it like, now we've got to sweep the nation for people?
So it will be individuals within Utah County.
It is Utah County.
Within that county.
Okay.
And they can expand it to as broad or as wide as they want to. So they could say, we're going to have a 3, 4, 6 day jury selection and bring in 500, 600 people in here.
Wow.
And talk to everybody as we go. And once they feel comfortable that they have the jury, they can conclude the jury selection process. But it'll take some time.
So in the case of Tyler Robinson, we have had a lot of news come out, conferences, press conferences. What's going on now? And how long do you think this is going to take?
Right. News travels fast. The court works slowly and deliberately.
Okay.
And so it's not going to be quick. There's going to be, like I said, motions that are filed, hearings that are had, and I believe will move fairly slowly.
If this does turn over and be released from the state of Utah and into a national, what am I trying to say, becoming a federal case. A federal case. At what point does that happen?
So it will be two separate things on it. So it wouldn't be turned over to the feds. The state has jurisdiction and the federal courts also have jurisdiction.
Okay.
In this case, the FBI's interest is, were any federal laws violated?
And that's
if federal laws were violated, then he can be charged federally.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean that the case in Utah goes away. That has been charged and will continue through on it. It will be the sole decision on the prosecuting attorney how that balance is made with the federal and state courts. But this case, I do not think will leave the state of Utah. It couldn't. On it, the state of Utah has jurisdiction. It's where it occurred.
Right.
And that's where the trial will happen.
So here we see the possibility of a federal and a state case. And what you're saying is there will be time here as it moves through the trial process.
Right. This is going to take a lot of time. There's a lot of evidence to be had, a lot of information to review through. And so it's going to take some time. And so we'll listen and see how the case moves through the court system.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Shain. And we will continue to keep you updated as this moves along.